I will.
Okay, I'm going to read these questions and you pretend like you've never heard them before. Okay, this is Paul Amat, who the star of American Graffiti. He played John Milner in the best movie George Lucas ever made, 73 classic, American Graffiti. Hey, do you remember how you got the part of the movie? Or?
I do.
Yeah?
I was walking down, I was hitchhiking on Santa Monica Boulevard, and this guy pulled over and picked me up, and he was real friendly. He was too friendly, really, I thought.
Like that guy with the pink camera in there?
Yeah, like pink camera in there. And he goes, "Hey, all right, how you doing? Good to see you." And I'm going, "Oh shit, you know, I just want to go down to La Brea Avenue." And he goes, "Oh, you don't remember me, do you?" I said, "Oh, no." And then he introduced himself. He was Willard Hike, one of the authors of the screenplay for American
the writer,
Graffiti.
yeah. Okay.
The Hikes, Gloria and Willard and George Lucas wrote the screenplay.
Yeah. And
I didn't remember him, but he had, I guess, been at my audition and my screening.
Okay.
I'm assuming that because I just don't remember him being there. But he then told me that they had made a decision based on my audition to give me the part in the movie, and then he said, "Oh, I guess I shouldn't have said anything because you're supposed to find out later." I was really, that was awesome. I was really, I was freaked out by that.
Yeah, okay? I bet. And to hear it that way too.
That was like a miracle because I was hitchhiking because my car had broken down, and I'd been fired from a job that I had. I shouldn't be admitting this on.
What were you doing? Were you?
Cab driver. I was a cab driver, and I was too reckless of a driver. And he let me out, and I went to my apartment. I was like flipping out. I said, "Oh, great! I got this job. I'm gonna have some money." It wasn't a big bucks, you know. We didn't get paid very much.
Do you remember how much you got paid?
I do remember.
How much?
$3,600
for the entire film.
Yeah. And but I was glad to get it at the time. Believe me. Sure. So what had happened is Fred Roos, the casting director, had remembered me from an audition that I'd done in a film that Candy was in, Fat City.
Right.
Because Fred Roos was the great casting director who recommended me to George Lucas, he got me a meeting with George, and I was taken in to first meet Lucas and just talk to him. And, he wanted to look me over.
Sure.
And I didn't really know, at that time I didn't have a screenplay, and I didn't have any idea much at all, really, about the material.
So how did he feel you out? If you just went in there, did he say, "Read this line," or act like you're a tough guy to me, or anything like that?
No, he didn't do that. He's a pretty shy guy, actually. He's not, at least he was more so then. He asked me a couple of questions. They were general questions.
Yeah.
And he was just looking me over, but on that, then he would make a decision from these meetings whether to pursue it, and then I got a script.
Okay.
And then I got to read it, and then I got to come in and audition another time, prepare for it, and even he's a very creative guy, as everyone knows. At least he used to be. Oh, sorry, George. But he filmed scenes in a car out in a parking lot.
Okay.
With me in a car doing the car
I think I've seen some stuff with you and Mackenzie Phillips. They were filmed at Dove Studios, Haskell Wetzler. Is this before then, or?
Yeah, I think that was before. I had long hair. And
yeah. You look like you did in Aloha Bobby and
That's right.
Rose, kind of
yeah,
like that.
because I went back to that look after I did.
Yeah,
after
that was a cool look.
Hair,
Man. I like that.
After they cut
awesome.
they cut my hair and stuff for American Graffiti. But yeah, we auditioned inside a car, which made it really great to do the car scenes. And I helped them after I got the part. They auditioned with several girls, Mackenzie and some other ones.
Right.
I remember thinking there was this one girl that I really liked. I thought, "Oh, she'd be great. She'd be great." And I said that to George and a friend, saying, that one was really be good." But that wasn't Mackenzie. And he cast Mackenzie Phillips. And George said to me, "You know, Paul, the reason I cast Mackenzie has something to do with the reason you liked the other girl." I went, "Huh?" Because by the way, George is real smart. He said, "You liked the other girl because you felt more comfortable around her, because she was verging on a woman. I forget how words he used, but meaning she was more of a woman, a little older, a year or two, something older. She was like a young girl becoming a woman rather than Mackenzie, who was still a kid.
Right. Right.
And he said, I love the way you were awkward around her because she was too much of a kid
Right.
to even to talk to. You
He
couldn't
was
even
looking
talk
for that
to her.
tension, kind of.
Yeah, and that's what
interesting.
he. Yeah,
That's
and so
really
he cast
interesting.
that. So I was less comfortable because she was. You know, I can't even talk to you. You know, get out of my car. You know. And I said, "Oh, get the other one." I felt much more relaxed with the other one. No.
So that it worked to
Yeah, it
to
works
the advantage.
for the film, for
Yeah.
the dynamic of the story. They wanted this. The only hard part, by the way, and it was difficult, was in American Graffiti there are some things that aren't really automatically realistic, okay?
Like what, for example?
Well, for instance, the fact that I would keep her in my car all that time and let her stay in my car. I would never have done that. John
Right.
Milner, I'm looking, in reality, John Milner would say, you know, yeah, just get the hell out of here, you know.
Right,
Get out
yeah.
of my car.
Right.
Go. Just
Yeah.
don't wait, you know, go.
Yeah.
Instead of putting up with her.
Right, and then actually following her and picking her
Right.
up again.
But
and-
in the script, it wasn't like that. I had to keep her in a car, so I had to
Right.
figure out a way that I would let her stay in the car.
Right.
Rather than just do it. This is a problem I have with films. Films I see have situations in them that I don't think quite work.
Right.
And nobody seems to be able to figure out a way to make them work. So I had to make this work with her. So the only way I could do it was that I did like her, you know, and felt sorry for her. That's the only way I could do it. And that came across because
Yeah,
that was
big time.
there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to do that. Well, you should do that as an actor, and I'm sure I learned that from some teacher. I like the other, and the other thing was not wanting to race this guy. I couldn't figure out, you know, John Milner doesn't want to race Bob Falford.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, this guy's the best. We'll race him in a minute, this loudmouth
Right.
from out of town.
Hell yeah.
Now, see, Milner's confident, so he wouldn't be like the rest of us,
Right.
which would be, oh, maybe he's bigger, stronger than me.
Right.
Maybe his car is faster than me, and maybe that engine's, you know, that's what the regular person would think.
Right.
But not Milner, he's
Right.
super confident.
Like maybe he has nothing to prove.
So what I did was I talked to George. You know, George Lucas is a brilliant filmmaker,
Uh-huh.
but he doesn't volunteer a lot of information. You have to ask him questions. At least that's the way he was then.
Yeah.
But when you ask him questions, it's like a textbook. It's all there. You know.
Okay.
It's like you go in the library and you find the right book and you open it and there it is.
Right,
You can't just, you know, it's not just there
Yeah.
at the doorway. And I asked him about this, and he said, "Oh, yeah. Well, John's worried about the futures. He's not sure he's going to continue to be the fastest guy around in a car. He's going to get beat eventually. He's not stupid, and
Right.
he's been hanging out. You know, he's older than the other guys, and he's perhaps over stressing it in his mind. He's going to lose a lot if he loses. And this guy, you know, it sounds like a pretty strong engine. He's got a lot riding. It's much easier for him to not race this guy
Right.
and keep this image and position,
Right.
the superior position where people
Right.
were all respecting him and stuff, because he actually is starting to doubt.
Right. Right.
He didn't say they're
And he
done.
maybe doesn't want to find out what could happen.
Yeah, because the potential is.
What would that mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would that mean exactly? So
Right.
then I was able to incorporate that into it, and provide me some realistic reason for being reluctant, because otherwise there's no reason. It's not like he had a reputation, and nobody knew who he was anyway.
Right. Some loudmouth from out of town.
And the idea was that people who have been doing that a lot with Milner, like a gunfighter is the
Sure.
best gunfighter.
Oh, I never thought about
guys
that.
come in
Yeah,
and,
very
you know,
similar.
try this guy.
Right, the fastest draw in town.
Right.
I heard you're faster than so and
Yeah,
so.
and he's been winning that, so
Right.
why would he worry about that?
Right.
Right? So Then the next unrealistic thing was at the end when I'm spoiling the movies for some people.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to watch your website.
That's true. Don't worry about it.
If they don't,
my mom watches it, so.
You asked me a question, what was unrealistic. Well, he's convinced he was losing the race when that's not the fact and not the way we were supposed to film it. But here I was supposed to be thinking I'd lost the race, and it was obvious to other people, including Terry, the Toad, Charlie Martin Smith, that I wasn't losing the race. So
was he winning the race or not?
Yes, but I was supposed to act like I thought I was losing it, and I didn't like the dialogue much. I did get to change some of it. George let me change some of it. And I just remember trying to work it out so that the character could feel, without looking insane, that he had been losing. And the only way I did it was through thinking that he was sure that his time had come. It's like he had obsessed about it so much.
Right.
And he felt it didn't just, the race was so close that was it for him. That was bad enough. That was worse. I lost it.
Right.
It's like a fighter who won a whole lot of fights and then he just barely wins one. He's thinking, oh my God, what? Did I lose it? I didn't knock the guy out, and he was beating me up, and
all those other times.
Yeah,
it was so much easier.
So this is so much easier. So that I had to do, and I still don't think it works very well because even to this day at these car shows, people are going, "You won the race. What were you talking about?"
Yeah. The only things that bothered me about it was more like the visuals of the Chevy once it was rolled over was not the Chevy in the race, the one that kind of fired, little things like that. I remember seeing it when it first came out, and then one of my pals said, who's older than me, said, "Oh, Milner couldn't beat those two hoods that were picking on Terry." But I was like,
bullshit.
Yeah, but see, I know that you were a fighter too. You're a boxer. Of course he could. So
there was one bad thing in that fighting scene was the first guy gave up. The way I didn't take an active part in the choreography. Who am I? What am I going to tell them?
Yeah.
But the first guy, all I do is I hit him in the stomach. And in one cross, and he rolls away, and he was a big, stocky guy.
Right.
Nah, that was wrong.
Yeah.
That should have been more difficult.
It's almost comic-like in a way.
It's comic-like, and even if you were able to hit somebody hard enough to knock them down, they're going to get back up again.
Sure.
He's just, what happened to him?
Yeah, he's kind of out of the picture after a couple swipes.
Now, he wasn't as big as the other guy. That was Johnny Weissmuller Jr.
Right.
But he was stocky.
Yeah. He's a local from Petaluma. I can't remember his name.
And he was, heavier than me, and
Right.
That was unrealistic, but...
here's the intellectual question of the day, and then we'll try and sum this up. Okay, Lucas's first three films have dealt with themes of breaking away and people's relationships to technology, for example, cars or radio. And then they always have some sort of deity character, like I think Ohm in THX and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, and then Wolfman Jack was kind of like a god, almost a godlike character that kind of was omnipresent, omnipotent over everybody. Everybody kind of doesn't really know who he is, but sort of seems to be connected with him through their car radios.
Yeah, right.
And I was wondering, did you ever think about or notice those themes when you read the screenplay? Did that ever come to your awareness at all? Okay. Yeah.
But that makes me think of something George said later to me. One of the reasons he made Star Wars, I don't know if he's talked about this publicly at all, was because he wanted people to think about God. He wanted them to, kids especially, to question, think, is there a God? What's going on? It's similar to what your question is addressing.
Right.
And
that's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Well, he could have been lying to me, but no. He opens up to me, or he did then when I was close to friendly with him. I haven't seen him in a long time. He didn't mean it in a strictly like Christian, Judeo-Christian sense. He didn't want to get too specific about the God, the identity of God. He wanted kids, so he told me, wanted a young generation to think about that, because the movies weren't activating that thought process.
Right. There certainly weren't a lot of like that,
Yeah.
those kinds of movies at that time that came out.
He didn't mean that he wanted to dictate to the generation what to think, although he obviously presented, as your question indicates, his own general view.
Right.
And in American Graffiti, when I read the script, the only thing I can say is I would guess that the cars were God, you know?
Yeah.
Because that was the big deal, and everybody, cars.
Worship them.
How fast are they? And you know, yeah, my car. And
Right.
you crashed my car, and you know. But although the radio had a omnipresent attitude.
Sure, yeah. Well, I think that I had always read that he was fascinated with radio because it creates a fantasy in your head.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are maybe
Broke
closer. That's okay. They're closer. I'll be charging for that later. No, that people are
In fact,
close.
that's what happened. Oh, I interrupted you, guy.
Oh, go ahead.
I knocked something off George's desk. That's why he hired me. I broke it. He said, that's the guy I want. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I forgot what it is. Oh, he was just fascinated because radio is like, it creates a fantasy that doesn't exist. You know, it's there in your head. Sometimes people feel closer to the disc jockey than they do to the person sitting next to them in the car.
Right.
And he just thought that was kind of fascinating. So.
Now you're getting esoteric.
Yeah, okay, I'll shut up.
You
Okay,
got a master's degree, do you?
Yeah, I'm trying to show off. You know, I want to
but,
prove to everybody that I've got a.
I've got a Associate of Arts degree. Does that count?
Yes, that's awesome.
You too? Yeah.
From which college?
The Los Angeles Valley College.
Very cool. Is it okay? Let me ask you one last question. What's the biggest difference between the character you portrayed in Graffiti and yourself? What's the difference and the similarities?
It's absolutely
exactly the same.
Completely.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
if you don't quit asking me questions, no. My usual answer is I'm not quite as cool as he is. I'm not quite as tough, but close. The long answer would be there's not a lot of similarities because I wasn't as confident as this character was supposed to be. And I wasn't into hot rods as much as he was, although I did like hot rods. So everything had a foundation of truth,
Right.
you know, a little bit that I could work with.
Sure.
So which helped me play the part. And people go, oh, you were great. So, well, part of it was the right part for me.
Yeah.
Because I played other parts that I wasn't a match for.
Right.
And they were more difficult. I could work my butt off and do good at it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But if it's not something I could really relate to it, I mean, just something. I played this guy who was the second highest law enforcement officer in Utah or something. Well, I don't know. I had a
That's
hard
kind of a
time.
stretch.
I had a hard time playing it, and I failed. I see the thing. When I saw the movie, and went, "Oh my God!" Well, I'm just standing there because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I couldn't do anything. I just all right, that's good. I'm listening to everything. You know? I couldn't get into it.
Right.
But if I have
Very
something
static.
to do, like hit Farrah Fawcett,
Sure. There you go.
I'm there.
That's a good example.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Or kiss her. I got to kiss her too, you know. So.
Awesome.
In the beginning of the Burning Band, we're in love and stuff, and I'm kissing her and French kissing her.
Really?
Yeah, which is.
So that wasn't just acting. That was the thing.
Well, it was. I was married at the time, so I was.
Oh, sure. Right.
It was
of course.
all,
Yeah.
I was paid for it, and it had to be because we had to show that.
Sure.
As being part of the
Right.
story.
You wanted to be authentic.
Yeah, because then later, you want the audience to feel, wow, what happened to this relationship?
Right.
So you have to set it up right.
Sure. Yeah.
So otherwise, we wouldn't have been French kissing.
Sure.
If it'd been, I didn't French kiss Jacqueline Smith. For
Okay.
instance, I played her husband in a movie, but it wasn't required.
Yeah. You didn't need to convey that.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't need to.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. I thank you
That's
so
it?
much.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Now
done.
that
I thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
I did have sex with the hotel. What do they call them? The night call, the receptionist.
You did?
Hotel, yeah.
Really?
Vicky, I still remember her name.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Vicky.
She was great.